Local tourism officials are in active discussion with Caribbean Airlines to add much-needed direct airlift out of New York's JFK International Airport to Barbados. With the daily direct American Airlines flight from JFK set to wind up at the end of January next year, Minister of Tourism Richard Seeley says this should help to pick up some of the shortfall.
It is during the course of January that American Airlines will be requiring anyone traveling from Kennedy to fly through Miami, which is obviously a small issue for us, and we need to redress it. I understand that the CAL discussion is not necessarily the solution to the problem. It can just help ease the situation. We do need another major legacy player with connections beyond the gateway and so on, and that is why we're also at the advanced stages of a discussion with Delta.
And Minister Seeley said discussions with Delta are progressing well so far.
The commencement of that service is hopefully we're looking to have it in place by summer of 2014, because that is when we anticipate we could have some serious problems at Kennedy. Clearly, the summer period is when family travel is at its highest, and the Crop Over Festival and related activity. And we have a huge diaspora in that tri-state area, and we know that it will be a lot of pressure on the two Miami flights and JetBlue.
Well, the Tourism Minister, who is the Member of Parliament for the St. Michael South Central constituency, was speaking to CBC on the sidelines of the annual Christmas party for children of his constituency. The event was held on the grounds of the George Street Auditorium today. In other news, members of the Bridgetown Port Taxi Cooperative are complaining of a slow winter season despite an estimated 10% increase in business so far this year when compared with 2012. President of the Bridgetown Port Taxi Cooperative, Villeneuve Graves, was speaking to the media this morning on the sidelines of the cooperative's second annual church service held at the Church of God of Prophecy. He blames the decline in business on competition from other tour operators at the Bridgetown Port and on the current economic recession. In an effort to remain competitive, Mr. Graves says members of the cooperative will be seeking to further diversify their product by targeting locals.
It is a new area to a certain extent. Some of our members have been doing it privately before, working with individual organizations, churches, schools, entities when they have picnics and things like that. But we are hoping to diversify our whole thrust so that the cooperative will be a success.
And after a November test run for this year's Operation Yuletide, the Royal Barbados Police Force is expected to have a strong presence in the island's commercial districts, which include Bridgetown, Warrens and Six Roads, as early as this week. Public Relations Officer Inspector David Wells said officers working in administrative posts will be on the streets in an effort to beef up security. Lawmen are advising business owners to be vigilant for scams, particularly those involving checks.
Station Sergeant Stephen Griffith, who is posted in the Force's Public Relations Department, said there are increased cases of fraud around the Yuletide season. He stressed that there are some criminal elements who are ready to take advantage of any lapse in security.
Much of the time we find that by January there are many people lined up at our fraud department because they would have received checks over the Christmas period. And you have to make sure that those checks are authentic, and those people who are missing checkbooks, report them to the police very, very early so that you don't have people writing checks falsely and receiving goods for them.
Meanwhile, Public Relations Officer Inspector David Welch said though the force has been seeing a limited amount of counterfeit currency recently, businesses still need to be cautious.
There's high pressure buying and selling where the criminal will come at that opportune time so that knowing that you aren't able to check every bill and then pass the currency there. Everyone is vulnerable in this instant. But however, you should continue to pay close attention to what you're receiving and make sure that you report this as soon as possible. In fact, what I can say, I encourage all members of the public to report crimes without delay.
The officer suggested that Barbadians keep limited cash on them and shop with debit cards instead. Dale Ford for CBC News.
Thank you, Dale. We'll have more news in just a moment, including news of additional exposure for one of Barbados' largest cultural events.
It's not often that research and technology combine to create an innovation that revolutionizes an industry. Introducing Ultima Plus from Harris Paints, combining not one, but 5 new problem-solving technologies in one can.
CoverFast technology gives you brighter colors in fewer coats.
Self-Prime technology means no primer over more surfaces.
Easy Breathe technology gives better air quality and lower odor.
Mildew Guard technology keeps colors fresh by resisting fungus growth for longer.
ColorLast technology makes your color stronger and more resistant to fading.
Best by test and quality, Ultima Plus can be tinted to any color or custom matched to the exact perfect shade. Thousands of colors, 5 new technologies, all in one can. Only from Harris Paints, the Caribbean champions of color. Ultima Plus, your ultimate paint solution.
Get 20% off at Harris Color Centers and dealers until December 24th, 2013.
Minister of Culture Stephen Lashley says he has mandated the National Cultural Foundation to market the National Independence Festival of Creative Arts, or NIFCA, in a more significant way, both locally and internationally. Minister Lashley made the remarks as he delivered the feature address during the 2013 NIFCA Awards ceremony at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre.
It is an event which most clearly bears testimony to the excellence which symbolizes our national creative and cultural identity as a people. It is a festival which is undoubtedly one of the cornerstones on which we will build the development of our cultural industries. I have already mandated the National Culture Foundation to introduce a system for the packaging of NIFCA in such a way as to make it highly marketable both locally and internationally.
Well, in commending the NIFCA 2013 awardees for their creativity and hard work, Minister Lashley urged them to continue to strive for excellence. In the meantime, a number of talented Barbadians were presented with their awards for excellence. Among them was Adrian Green and April Thomas as well, who received the Prime Minister's scholarships in theatre and literary arts respectively. Visual artist Jason Hope received the Prime Minister's Award for Originality. Well, the police are seeking your assistance in locating a missing man tonight. He is Carl MacDonald Robinson and he's 59 years old and lives at Parishland Christchurch. Mr. Robinson was discharged from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital at about 1:15 yesterday afternoon after suffering a seizure while at his residence. When last seen, he was wearing a brown polo shirt, long black trousers and black sandals. Mr. Robinson is 5 feet 11 inches in height, of slim build and dark complexion. He has white hair but is bald at the top of his head. He suffers from Alzheimer's disease and diabetic seizures. He frequents the Marhill, Fairchild and Subtle Street areas in Bridgetown. If you have information on the whereabouts of Carl Robinson, please contact the District B Police Station at 437-4311 or the nearest police station to where he's seen. And this news just coming to hand, police officers are presently at the scene of an apparent road fatality at St. Patrick's Christchurch. Initial reports suggest it's a male motorcyclist involved in the accident and that it occurred sometime within the last hour. We'll continue to update you on that accident as more information comes to hand. Further afield now, as celebrations continue to mark the life of Nelson Mandela and preparations are made for his funeral, more details are emerging about the plans by global leaders to attend.
The South African government has by this moment confirmed some 59 dignitaries from around the world who will be here to take part in one of the many memorial services that will be taking part this week, and that includes US President Barack Obama as well as former Presidents George W. Bush, Bill Clinton and President Carter. The Queen Elizabeth II will be represented by Prince Charles, French President François Hollande will be here, Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff, all of them indicating they will be in South Africa to pay respect to Nelson Mandela. Tuesday, Aisha, is the first big memorial service we will see at FNB Stadium, which can seat 95,000. The government saying today they're going to have at least 90 big screens throughout the country to allow people to take part in that. That precedes Nelson Mandela's body on a procession each morning, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, while he's lying in state at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. And all of that precedes the final burial, traditional and formal state funeral in Kunu this next weekend.